Heavenly Father, the God of times and seasons, the one who orchestrates destiny with precision, we come before you this day, Tuesday, the 1st of April 2026, with hearts open and full of expectation. Lord, we declare that something big is shifting in our favor right now, in the realm of the Spirit, where you rule and reign. We acknowledge that you are moving things, aligning destinies, and rearranging circumstances for our good. Father, every invisible barrier that has resisted progress, let it be broken now in the name of Jesus. We step into this moment with boldness, declaring that delays are turning into speed, confusion is turning into clarity, and rejection is turning into divine acceptance. Father, let there be a supernatural shift. Every cycle of limitation, every pattern of disappointment, every bitter struggle that has followed us, today we declare it ends. By your power, we break free from stagnation and step into movement. We step into progress. We step into fulfillment. Divine timing is not a concept that operates according to human understanding. It is a spiritual reality governed by the wisdom and sovereignty of God. There are moments in life when it feels like everything is delayed. Prayers seem unanswered, efforts appear unfruitful, and doors remain closed despite consistent knocking. In those seasons, it is easy to assume that nothing is happening. But the truth is, divine timing is always at work, even when it is not visible. God's timing is never late, and it is never early. It is precise. Every promise, every breakthrough, and every lifting in your life has been scheduled according to a divine calendar that cannot be altered by human limitations. What looks like delay is often divine preparation. What feels like silence is usually God aligning events, people, and circumstances to ensure that when your moment comes, it will not only arrive, it will manifest in fullness. There are things that cannot happen prematurely because you are being prepared to sustain them. There are doors that have not opened yet because what is on the other side requires a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with purpose. So while you were waiting, heaven was working. While you were praying, God was arranging. While you were wondering if anything would change, divine systems were shifting quietly in your favor. Divine timing also means that certain battles you faced were not meant to destroy you, but to position you. Every disappointment, every rejection, and every closed door carried within it a redirection. Sometimes what feels like a setback is actually God preventing you from stepping into something that is not aligned with your destiny. In His timing, even the painful experiences become part of a greater plan that leads to elevation. Now, there comes a moment when divine timing transitions from preparation to manifestation. It is the moment when what has been building behind the scenes begins to show up in reality. Suddenly, things start to move. Opportunities appear. Answers come. Favor speaks. What was once difficult becomes effortless. This is not coincidence. It is the activation of divine timing. When divine timing is active, you will notice acceleration. Things that should have taken years begin to happen in months or even days. You will experience alignment, meeting the right people at the right time, finding yourself in the right place without struggle. Doors that resisted you before will open without force. This is because the timing has now matured. It is important to understand that when your time comes, it cannot be stopped. No opposition, no delay, and no human interference can cancel what God has already approved. Your responsibility is to remain in faith, to stay prepared, and to remain sensitive to the leading of God. Because when divine timing speaks, hesitation can cause missed opportunities. So in this season, you must shift your mindset. You are no longer in a place of waiting. You are stepping into a place of manifestation. The same God who asked you to trust him in the delay is now revealing the results of that trust. The same prayers you thought were unanswered are now returning as testimonies. This is the power of divine timing. It turns patience into reward, waiting into manifestation, and faith into tangible results. And as it becomes active in your life, you will realize that nothing was wasted, nothing was forgotten, and nothing was delayed beyond purpose. Everything was simply waiting for the right moment, and that moment is now. Spiritual shifts are often subtle, invisible, and easy to overlook if you are only paying attention to physical circumstances. Yet they are the foundation upon which every visible change is built. Before anything transforms in your life physically, something must first move in the realm of the spirit. This is the realm where decisions about destiny are influenced, where battles are fought, and where victories are secured long before they become evident in your daily reality. Many people become discouraged because they expect immediate physical results without understanding that there is always a spiritual process preceding manifestation. When you pray, when you believe, and when you align yourself with God's will, you are not just engaging in routine actions. You are initiating movements in a higher realm. These movements may not produce instant visible outcomes, but they are real, powerful, and necessary. A spiritual shift means that something has changed beyond what your eyes can see. It could mean that resistance has been lifted, that barriers have been broken, or that decisions concerning your life have been settled in your favor. It is the moment when what once opposed you begins to lose its hold, even if you have not yet seen the full evidence of it. This is why it's possible for your situation to still look the same outwardly, while everything about has already changed inwardly. There is a transition point where spiritual shifts begin to produce visible results. This is where many are tested because the change has already occurred in the spirit, but the physical evidence has not yet caught up. In this phase, faith becomes critical. You must learn to stand on what you believe rather than what you see. Because if you can remain steady during this gap, you will soon witness undeniable transformation. When spiritual shifts begin to manifest physically, the results can be both sudden and undeniable. Situations that were stagnant begin to move. Doors that were firmly shut begin to open. People who once overlooked you begin to recognize and support you. Opportunities that seemed impossible suddenly become accessible. It may even feel like everything is happening at once, but in reality, it is the visible expression of what has been building over time in the unseen realm. It is also important to understand that spiritual shifts can reposition you. Sometimes the change is not just about altering your circumstances, but about moving you into the right environment. You may feel a sudden urge to take a step, make a decision, or change direction. These impressions are often part of the shift, guiding you into alignment with where your blessings are meant to manifest. Another dimension of spiritual shifts is the removal of what no longer belongs in your life. As things begin to align, certain relationships, habits, or environments may naturally fall away. This is not loss, it is refinement. It is God creating space for what is truly meant for you. Holding on to what is leaving can delay what is coming. So discernment is necessary in this season. As visible results begin to appear, it is crucial to remain grounded and grateful. The manifestation of a spiritual shift is not just a moment of celebration, it is also a responsibility. What has been given must be sustained with wisdom, humility, and continued alignment with God. Because the same spiritual principles that brought the change are the ones that will preserve it. Spiritual shifts remind you that your life is not controlled solely by what you see. There is a higher dimension at work, one that is constantly responding to your faith, your prayers, and your obedience. When that realm moves, your reality has no choice but to follow. So even if everything has not yet fully appeared, trust that something has already changed. Trust that what you prayed for is no longer distant. It is unfolding. And very soon, what began as a spiritual shift will stand before you as a visible, undeniable testimony. Cycles are powerful forces in a person's life because they create patterns that can either build momentum or enforce limitation. A cycle is not just an event, it is a repeated experience, something that keeps showing up in different forms but carries the same outcome. Many people find themselves trapped in cycles without fully realizing it. They move from one situation to another, yet the results remain the same, rising and falling at the same point, starting but never finishing, receiving but never sustaining. Negative cycles often begin subtly. It could start with a single disappointment, a failure, or a wrong decision, but over time, if not broken, it forms a pattern. That pattern becomes a rhythm, and eventually it becomes a stronghold that influences outcomes regardless of effort. This is why someone can work hard, stay committed, and even do the right things, yet still experience repeated setbacks. It is not always a lack of effort. It is the presence of an unbroken cycle. These cycles can manifest in many areas of life. For some, it is financial instability. Money comes but does not stay. For others, it is relationships. Connections begin well but end the same way repeatedly. For some, it is progress. There is always a promising start, but something happens at a critical moment that brings everything back to zero. These patterns are frustrating because they create a sense of limitation, making it feel like no matter what you do, you cannot move beyond a certain point. However, cycles are not permanent. What has been repeating can be stopped. What has been ongoing can be interrupted. There is always a moment where the power sustaining a negative cycle is broken. And when that happens, the pattern loses its hold completely. That moment is what defines a turning point in a person's life. Breaking a cycle requires more than just effort. It requires awareness, alignment, and spiritual authority. You must first recognize the pattern and refuse to accept it as normal. Many people remain in cycles because they have unconsciously adapted to them. They begin to expect the same negative outcomes, and that expectation reinforces the cycle. But the moment you rise with the understanding that this pattern does not define you, you begin to position yourself for change. There is also a spiritual dimension to cycles. Some patterns are sustained by unseen forces, and they continue until there is an intervention that disrupts their continuity. This is where prayer, faith, and alignment with God become essential. Because when divine power steps in, it does not manage the cycle, it destroys it. It cuts it at the root so that it cannot regenerate. When a cycle breaks, the change is noticeable. What used to happen consistently suddenly stops. Situations that once followed a predictable negative path begin to produce different outcomes. You may find yourself progressing beyond points where you previously failed. You may experience stability in areas that were once unstable. This is the evidence that the cycle has truly been broken. It is important, however, to remain vigilant after a cycle is broken. Freedom must be maintained. The habits, decisions, and environments that once supported the cycle should not be revisited. Because while the cycle itself may be broken, returning to the same patterns can create room for it to form again. Sustaining your new season requires wisdom and intentional living. Breaking cycles also opens the door to new patterns, positive ones. Where there was once stagnation, there will be progress. Where there was once loss, there will be preservation. Where there was once delay, there will be consistency and growth. Life begins to move forward without the constant pull backward that once defined your experience. This is the power of a broken cycle. It does not just change one moment, it changes the trajectory of your life. It creates a new normal, one that is no longer defined by limitation, but by possibility and fulfillment. And when this shift happens, you will realize that what once seemed like an unending struggle was only a phase waiting for the moment it would be broken. That moment has the power to rewrite your story, turning, repeat, deepen into lasting victory, and transforming a life of patterns into a life of progress. There are seasons in life that are defined by effort, and there are seasons that are defined by favor. Effort is when you push, strive, and labor to make things happen. Favor, however, is when things begin to happen for you, sometimes beyond your effort, beyond your qualifications, and beyond your expectations, and beyond your expectations. Entering a season of favor is not just about receiving good things, it is about experiencing a divine advantage that sets you apart in ways you cannot fully explain. A season of favor means that what used to be difficult becomes easier. Doors that required repeated knocking begin to open with a single attempt. Situations that once resisted you begin to cooperate. It is not because you suddenly became more capable overnight, but because something has shifted in your favor. There is an invisible hand guiding outcomes, influencing decisions, and positioning you for opportunities that align with your destiny. Favor also changes how people respond to you. In a season of favor, you may find that people are more willing to help, support, and recommend you. You may receive opportunities you did not apply for, recognition you did not seek, and access to places you once thought were beyond your reach. This is one of the clearest signs of favor. It attracts the right people into your life at the right time. It is important to understand that favor does not eliminate effort, but it amplifies results. The same level of work you once put in with little outcome now begins to produce greater results. Small actions yield significant impact. What you start begins to grow, and what you build begins to stand. Favor adds speed, efficiency, and effectiveness to everything you do. Another dimension of favor is divine preservation. It is not only about gaining opportunities, but also about being protected while walking in them. In a season of favor, you may avoid certain dangers without even realizing it. You may be redirected from situations that could have caused harm. You may find that things that negatively affect others somehow pass over you. This is because favor carries within it an element of protection. However, favor also requires alignment. It flows most strongly when you are walking in obedience, making wise decisions, and staying connected to God. Favor is not random. It is intentional. It works best when your life is positioned in a way that can sustain the opportunities and blessings that come with it. Without alignment, even favor can be mishandled. As you enter the season, it is important to remain humble and grateful. Favor is not a reason for pride. It is a reason for gratitude. Recognizing that what you are experiencing is a gift keeps your heart in the right place and ensures that the flow continues. Gratitude also sharpens your awareness, helping you to recognize opportunities that others might overlook. There is also a responsibility that comes with favor. The opportunities, access, and blessings you receive are not only for personal benefit, they are also meant to create impact. Favor positions you not just to succeed, but to make a difference, to lift others, and to contribute meaningfully. In the spaces you are placed in a season of favor, timing becomes significant. You must be sensitive and ready to act when opportunities arise. Hesitation can delay what has already been released. Favor opens doors, but you must walk through them. It creates opportunities, but you must respond. Being prepared allows you to maximize the season fully. As this season unfolds, you will begin to notice a difference in your experiences. Things will align more easily. Progress will become more consistent. What once felt like a struggle will begin to feel like a flow. This is the evidence that you have stepped into favor. And when you look back, you will realize that this season was not accidental. It was prepared, orchestrated, and released at the right time. A time where everything begins to work together for your good, where doors open without force, and where your life reflects the undeniable hand of God. This is what it means to enter a season of favor. A season where you are no longer striving to be noticed, but are being positioned to be recognized. A season where you are no longer chasing opportunities. A season where you are no longer chasing opportunities, but opportunities are locating you. A season where your efforts are no longer ordinary, but are empowered by a grace that produces extraordinary results. As this moment unfolds, understand that your life is not the same anymore. What has been prepared in the unseen is now stepping into reality. Divine timing has aligned, spiritual shifts have been activated, cycles have been broken, and favor has been released upon your life. This is a defining season, one that marks the end of struggle and the beginning of visible transformation. Do not doubt what God is doing. Stay in faith, remain expectant, and walk boldly in every opportunity that comes your way. What once delayed you will no longer hold you back. What once resisted you will now align with you. You are stepping into a new reality, one filled with progress, clarity, and undeniable results. And as you move forward, carry this confidence. What has begun in your life is real, it is powerful, and it will surely be completed.